Okay. Time to prepare ourselves. Ooh, that's satisfying. Hello everyone. Welcome back to Minecraft. That right there represents all of the stone that I have in shulker boxes available for me to use. A lot of that has just come from this machine that has turned some TNT into a lot of stone using this super smelter and all of the kelp from this giant kelp farm. But now it's time to put it to use. The whole reason that I made this thing, and that is mountains. Yeah, we should sleep. In today's episode, oh, there was a creeper right behind me just then. In today's episode, I want to continue the cliff faces. In fact, I don't know whether you can see me there. I'm a couple of pixels tall, but that line continues basically all the way through to the other side. All the way across here and and down. I think it would be kind of nice to get that cliff face in today and see how much we can get done. See whether I can detail it up with a bit of grass and a bit of andesite and bits and pieces like that. And as much as I love this thing, hide it a little bit from the building side. Tri-Peak Valley isn't much of a valley right now. It's more of just a flat area. But the idea of it being a valley between mountains does make me want to start getting those mountains in. So I have a bunch of stone ready, which of course is very nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 50 shulker boxes worth of stone, or exactly 86,400. 86,000 stone should get us a bit done. On top of that, I do have a little bit extra stored away over here in my stone silo. Oh, that trapdoor happens whenever I get redstone signals through there. But we do have a fair bit stored up. Each one of those lights represents a double chest worth, and there's also the hoppers in between that are holding stone too. So I probably have another 10 plus shulkers worth in there. Very nice. Now with this little bit of sand here, and the rest of that sand that was still available over in my mining desert, I should be able to, oh, perfect. I've actually got 4 of those. I should be able to jump over there, grab the sand, and prepare myself another shulker worth of TNT so that while I'm doing this, I can run the machine, prime it with some extra cobblestone, and we can periodically run fuel through it and keep adding to our stockpile during the process of making the mountains. In fact, let's go get that sand. Oh, hello. Perfect. I'm going to bring you along for the little journey just so you know whereabouts I'm located. I tend to fly over the top of this little bit here, swoop on through this basalt delta, and just over here, there is my perimeter. Now, we're kind of in the middle of it a little bit at this spot, or on the edge of it, I should say. But if I just continue a little bit further, and over here, that is the portal to my mining desert. Also basically on the edge of my perimeter. We are going to get back to that, but I want to focus on the mountains for a little while. So over here, I can grab most of this. It's not quite going to fill 4 shulkers worth anymore because I did grab a few extras before I left. But I think what we had left over in our main hall is probably enough for that. Wonderful. Come on, bud. We'll just swoop our way back through here. Eventually, we'll have a much nicer laid out path between all of our portals and probably centralized around the giant perimeter. But here we are. Ah, XP. So if we swoop, actually, I have this new opening that I can get through a little bit easier. Swoop through here. Yeah, perfect. Which one was it? This first one. Oh, not quite. I'm going to have to go get myself 33. There's swoop. Somewhere just down here is probably fine. 35. Thankfully, I did AFK there long enough the last time that I should have enough gunpowder to get myself another shulker's worth. That being said though, it's not a bad idea to potentially make another smaller farm that will be constantly loaded over in that direction. For now though, more than enough. Okay, TNT acquired. And in fact, I'm just going to put that straight up here. Perfect. Ready to go. Now, if I was going to add myself another gunpowder farm, I'd probably do it in line behind this. This little building is my very simple sugarcane farm that just ticks away while we're working around the area. It's not super fast, it's not super large, but it does get me enough to just make myself some rockets when I need to. And I kind of plan to have something else up here at the back at some point, but could be a good place to punch a little hole into the side of the mountain and set ourselves up with a bit of a closer proximity. Gunpowder farm. Yeah, get these guys. Yeah. But that's not really the point right now. We'll go put these empty ones away. And I'll take that with me to get started. Now, before I do get started, I kind of want to talk about my process of terraforming. I don't know whether I've really explained it very often, but I kind of like to do what I consider the 3D printer style. My style, I try to keep fairly close to the way that Minecraft generates its terrain. If you look at the way that that is over there, with like little steps and sections, this stuff just here, if we look at that, it is a very similar setup. Now, obviously the way I've put down the grass over there is slightly different, but for example, this spot over here is pretty much the same concept. The way that Minecraft code generates and lays down its landscape and stuff is quite similar to this. I just add a little bit of extra stone in certain areas or make the dirt a little bit thinner for my desired effect. But all in all, I kind of just go back and forth like a 3D printer and add layer by layer by layer. Now that we have Swift Sneak, doing so is incredibly easy. I just kind of move, slide around. Oh, that sounds like a mob farm under there. That looks like a mob farm under there. We need a little bit of extra light. But as you can see, once it all gets put together, we have ourselves something fairly nice to work off. So over here, I very basically added a little bit of a pathway that takes me between the different cliff faces, meandering around in a direction that feels right, and it lines up with my wireframing. I only did it a little bit, but we're going to continue that around here. And this section here is going to be quite steep, as you can see from this wireframe. So I'm going to do my best to try and make a nice steep cliff. That's a bit of an example of a steeper section over here. And fingers crossed, this 3D printer right here can make myself a decent cliff. So, for starters, to make sure that I don't spend too much time on this and that I'm able to actually manage something within an episode's timeline, I'm going to get started on this cliff. We're going to see what we can make happen. I've got some TNT over there ready so we can run this machine while I'm doing so. I've got my shulker boxes full of stone, so I'm not going to run out, at least for this section. And I've got myself some smokers burning through plenty and plenty of kelp. This has shut off a little bit though. So maybe 7, 8, 9 was about the maximum. Occasionally it goes into the 10th. If I need things to speed up, I can grab some of the kelp out of here and put it over into these ones. But I think there's nothing to it but to get the main purpose of this episode underway and start generating a lot more stone, because in a very short amount of time, these mountains are going to start taking shape. So sit back, enjoy a bit of a 3D printing mountain time lapse, and I'll see you on the other side. Yeah. Okay. This is slowly clearing up. I came back down at one point and it was completely clogged. But that does mean that we built up a little bit of a backlog. And now these are all running. So, not the worst. But I should grab a couple extra rockets. Hello? And, oh, that's not my rockets. Where did I put my... Oh, I remember. Back over here. I remember placing them there and saying, the next time I want rockets, I'll definitely be going back there. Anyway. Look at this. Oh, my goodness. That's a lot of stone. It's a little disappointing that I didn't have the time to go through and really do a huge amount. Oh, well, that might sound ridiculous looking at what I have here. But during the process of making this episode, I had to do some moving of some furniture and stuff from my old place into the new one. So it does mean that it was a bit of an interrupted effort of making these. But let's go find ourselves a nice spot. And yeah, this looks pretty cool. This is pretty cool. We'll pop up into FreeCam and have a bit of a better look. And I obviously haven't had time to go through and put any of the dirt or grass on there. So right now it is very bare and very stone. At the end of the time-lapse there, I did change some of the wireframing because this feels much nicer now on this side with this new direction that I've went, keeping this side here a little bit lower. And of course, I am going to have to do some connection of the wireframes out the back. But for now, we are doing the classic... Oh, scary. We are doing the classic build the front first, deal with the back later. So I have just gone ahead and done it up to a central point because, well, I'm just a guy and I can't work on this 24/7. That being said, I'm pretty happy with what I managed. Now, if you look a little close, there are going to be some sections, this isn't the best example, where can I find? Like here, some sections that aren't perfect. They're not ideal. But the thing is, little sections like that where there's only one little piece of stone, the amount of times that it rained while I was making these mountains is ridiculous. But if I place a bunch of dirt and grass on top of it, that seems like the perfect spot to build up a few layers just on a cliff edge. So as I add little bits of greenery and grass and dirt and bits and pieces all over top of it, it should hopefully come together quite nicely. Now, I have successfully made the biggest mob spawning platform on the planet. So we are going to have to make sure as we do things like adding the dirt and grass that we do what we can to light it up. But I do like how I have these natural sort of mountain fingers coming down. The shape that guides its way all the way through is really nice. And I'm thinking that once all of that is in, this is going to be a really nicely shaped mountain. Very nice. Oh, a little bit of snow. So all in all, I'm very happy with the efforts towards this mountain range. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you think it looks cool? Do you think it looks impressive? One of my favorite things is the fact that now, down at ground level, we have like this super impressive backdrop to a lot of what we're doing. Walking out of this area here, you essentially have almost your entire background filled with that. And look at the way that the gradient of the natural shadows happen down through there. I'm just very excited. I'm very excited. That little spot over there could use some love. But the beauty of this is we have the time. We can spend time finding areas that don't necessarily work, going over them and adding or taking away as we see fit. And it's going to be a beautiful backdrop to a hopefully really impressive world. Now, it has had me thinking about all of these little white kind of planned out locations that I have around the place, and also what could potentially be built up on the side of these in different areas. Some watchtowers or things like that. There's going to be pathways and walkways and holes in the wall that I want to meander little caves inside that will get us up to higher areas. Lots and lots of different ideas for this place. Oh, we can sleep the rain away. Much better. Now, if I put on hitboxes and go over to this side, I have successfully made a stupidly powerful mob spawner. If I just fly over here, yeah. Especially when I'm obviously up quite high, this acts like an AFK platform. And then if we just look under there, there is a ridiculous amount. So I've been using a mod called Lighty, which does allow me to see what are spawnable spaces. And obviously this entire mountain right now is spawnable. But if I fly around down here, you can see the red stuff is absolutely needing some attention. But it does allow me to just float over places like this and throw down a torch, smack my face against it a little bit, and make sure that, oh, I ran out of torches. But make sure that it is a little bit more spawn proof. Ideally, long term, we have every single space here, all the caves underneath and everything lit up and spawn proofed, so that if we decide to make farms and whatnot for mobs in this area, then they're absolutely juiced. For now though, I'm just going to turn that off and ignore my problems. Oh, by the way, iron. A fully iron covered skeleton. Okay, you stay there. Quiet. Oh, I have an arrow in my head and my back. But yes, we've experienced quite a few Minecraft days doing this. I'm up to day 1133, and it was only a couple of episodes ago that we hit day 1000. So this does take a lot of time. Now, if we pop over here, I didn't use up all the stone. I used about 30 shulker boxes. 5 times 6, yeah, 30 shulker boxes. And I've started onto this next batch. So I didn't bother firing that up just yet because I've still got a decent little amount. But the next time I want to settle in for a really good amount of mountain building, I'm probably going to need to fire this up once more. But it has meant that even with blockages, yeah, this has gone ahead and filled up with a lot of fuel. So once I fill this up with some cobblestone, we're in business. This whole thing should run well. Somebody in the comments did mention that these can be stacked together. It was just a mistake of mine when I was putting together. I activated redstone in a particular funny way and it activated both at the same time. So for safety, I put them apart. But if you are building these yourself, you can absolutely stack them right together and you shouldn't have any problems. But with all that being said, this has taken me a really long time. And unfortunately, with real life stuff to deal with during the week, I didn't have time to do anything more other than just plod away at placing stone and try and get a mountain backdrop for us. So things like adding the dirt and the grass and whatnot, as well as just some extra stuff that would be nice to have going. It would be nice to at least get this section here done so that it looks nicer and maybe start to trickle over onto this edge here, maybe do up to this line. I'm not sure, but those are going to have to wait until I have the time to tackle them. All in all though, it's a good proof of concept that something like this can make me the materials to do something like this without having to do too much grinding. Or a different kind, I suppose. I think it's really cool that we're able to make something like this without exploitation, without using TNT duping. Completely 100% vanilla. That means that I don't have to mine anything to make this mountain range other than a bit of sand. I think that's really, really fun. Anyway, I'm sort of rambling at this point. I need to do a bunch more lighting up of stuff underneath here and flying around, smacking my face into walls to try and get rid of those little spawning spaces. But I think I'm going to leave the episode where we are. We'll let this continue running. I'll generate some more stone and we'll come back in the next episode fresh and with a really nice backdrop. So with that, I think I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my Patreon supporters for your continued support. You folks are genuinely amazing, and it means so much that you're willing to help me do this full time and give me the opportunity to invest the time into doing something crazy like this. Thank you to all of you who've been watching and following along with the series so far. Hopefully we can continue to make some really cool stuff and turn this into one of the coolest worlds I've ever made, for sure. And hopefully one of the coolest worlds you guys have ever watched. At least I hope so. But with all that being said, it is time for me to sign off. And it's time for me to say, until the next one, I hope you all take care of yourselves, and I'll see you then. Oh, look at those mountains. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Whoop!